All right. Okay, everybody. Welcome to Reality Redux, where we visit some OG reality TV with a new eye and a new spin. And it doesn't get any more OG than The Real World, MTV's pioneering reality show. On this episode, we have special guest John Brennan. Not to make him blush, but he's also known as my 1993 celebrity crush from the season, the Los Angeles Real World season. We're going to chat about reality TV, youth ministry, country music, and what John's been up to since he got on that plane in Los Angeles 32 years ago. So get ready to hear John's true story. Welcome, John.
True story.
There it is, right on cue. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I just remember 1993. I'm 2 years out of high school. I'm 51. I think we're pretty close in age. And I mean, you had me at yeehaw. I remember thinking, this guy, he's a cowboy. He's into country music. I was going to a place called Blackie's every weekend with my girls, and we were country line dancing. We were boot scooting, boogieing everywhere. I was like, this guy is representing the stuff I'm into. This is cool because honestly, until then, MTV was a little more edgy than I had been raised to be in my more conservative Lutheran home. And so, it was a bit of an escape. And I thought, oh, heck, I'm going to live vicariously through this guy. He seems pretty great. So that's why I'm just excited to get a chance to visit with you. And I have right now an 18-year-old daughter. And I've looked at her since you and I have been connecting. And honestly, my mind gets blown because I'm thinking if this kid got in a Winnebago with, a salty Irishman and,
Yeah.
Tammy and her big personality, I don't know if I'd let her get on that RV. So I give your parents some serious props. They were pretty open, at least to you having that experience. And of course, you were an adult at that moment. You can make your choices, but it puts it into
Barely.
perspective for me.
Yeah, it's so funny that you remember those details because I actually, and being from the Midwest there, or right in the middle of the heartland of America, you know what Shoney's is.
Oh, I know Shoney's. Oh, for
And
real.
and we stopped at a Shoney's in that Winnebago trip to Los Angeles, and I said something exactly like similar to what you just said. You know, Dominic said to me, John, I think your dad was actually crying. And I said, well, if my son got in a Winnebago with two people look like y'all and drove off, I'd be crying too. And oh my gosh, that was our first argument. What do you mean by that? What do you mean? You said two people that look
Yeah.
like us. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm like, well, look at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just being snarky and sarcastic because that's the way I am. And but it blew up right there. Well, you're stereotyping us. I'm like, well, look at the three of us. I mean, my gosh,
Yeah.
right?
Really.
And so if you're 51 and I'm 50,
Yeah.
and you were living vicariously through me going to the boot scooting boogie line dancing places, you were at most 19 years old. How were you getting into these dance hall clubs? Because
Well, I was lucky enough actually that they had like these under 21 nights where
okay,
you
okay,
could get in. And then if you were in like before 10, you could get in. And then after that,
good
they were
answer.
stamping hands and whatnot.
Okay, good answer. Good. I
Yeah,
thought I
thank
had
you.
you. I thought
Yeah.
I.
Yeah, you were close there. I had my moments, but no, I was there for the music, for the dance, and to
Yeah, sure.
wear my cute boots, and my cute little outfits.
Me too. The cute
Um,
boots. Sure.
it was a good time. But I remember that scene, the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think,
Oh, it was in all the promos. It was, oh my, they're
well,
fighting. They
yeah, it played right into their hand, though. I
Yeah.
mean, you couldn't have said
Right.
anything that. I mean, the MTV producers had to be just going, "Oh yeah, we hit
Yeah.
the jackpot
The
here."
country boy had said the wrong
Yeah.
thing, but what they didn't realize is, and still don't even really today understand my humor. And no matter what people said, I'm going to be sarcastic back. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I think your dad was crying. Well, I mean, look at you.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
my son, so I always had to have something, funny to say. And my dad's been gone 6 years now, so to,
Oh, I'm
to to
sorry.
think about that, well, it's all right. He's with the Lord, and none of us get out of here alive, right? So,
True.
but actually, it's so funny. I have a podcast as well, and I had Dominic on our podcast. I have a podcast with Beth, my roommate from the real world, Beth,
Awesome, awesome.
and it's called Getting Real with John and Beth. So there's my shameless plug. But
Please plug away.
Dominic did not choose to be part of any of our reunions for 32 years. It's been 32 years. Okay, 1993, January of 93. So exactly 32
Yep,
years ago.
exactly.
We got on a Winnebago and we drove to Los Angeles to meet the rest of our roommates and live for 22 more weeks. And they made 22 episodes. So I didn't get on a plane and go. We drove, and that 10-day trip in that Winnebago is what sparked the whole season, the whole spinoff series, Road Rules.
Absolutely, yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, you did. You took a plane home from LA, though, right?
I did take a plane
Okay,
home. That was
yeah.
the last scene of the Real World.
Yeah,
John,
that's what I
getting
was.
on a
That's what
plane
I was
back to
referencing that.
Nashville.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, what happened
yeah.
after you left LA? But you're right. You
Lots.
started in that Winnebago, and honestly, I think it was great that here you are going coast to coast with no navigation, right? No, hey Siri,
Right. MapQuest. We
Right.
didn't even have MapQuest. Remember MapQuest?
Oh, I remember MapQuest.
But
Oh,
we
heck
didn't
yeah.
have that
You remember
either
the
because we didn't
you
have the
remember
internet.
triptychs? Triptychs are what my parents
Triptychs.
printed out when we were going to take a vacation, and it was just this long, like printed out set
Mm-hmm.
of directions. But at the end of the day, it's really a metaphor for finding yourself, right? I mean, you're literally trying to find your way, but you were.
I mean, we just got on I-10. I mean, really, we took I-40 to I-10,
And there you
know,
went.
we literally in those days we used an atlas, and I remember watching the seasons of the Real World that came after us, and they were sitting at a computer checking email, and I'm like, what are they doing? We didn't have a computer. We didn't
Right.
have the internet. I mean, the internet was not a household thing in 1993.
No,
We had heard of it. It was there, but I didn't have an email address in 1993.
no.
I didn't have a cell phone until 1998. These were different times.
Totally. And what you did have was a corded phone that tied you literally to the wall. And I think you had call waiting. That was the most
That
progressive
was big
thing
time.
in
And
1993.
and caller ID was you mean
Yeah.
you could tell who's calling you before you
Yeah.
answer?
It's crazy. Well, I remember there's scenes of Beth in the kitchen, right? She was talking to her ex-boyfriend or something at the time, and you were, I think, saving her from the conversation. Like, click,
Yeah.
Beth, get off the phone. You had like
Yeah.
one line in that whole house for everybody to stay connected to their real worlds. And I can't imagine how your lives would have been different or even better, at least for the viewer's point of view, if you had social media, if there was texting. There was something very
Well,
pure about the experience you were living without that
yeah.
mediation.
True. I mean, I have an embarrassingly low amount of social media followers, being that I'm a reality star. Honestly, look at today's reality stars, and they have 250,000, 500,000, 800,000 followers. I have 11,000 Instagram followers. But if there had been Instagram and Facebook in 1993, I'm
Blowing
telling
up.
you, it was to the point where Saturday Night Live did a skit, and David Spade played me. Mike Myers played Dominic. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
I would have millions of followers.
Oh,
Theo
can you
Vaughn,
imagine?
he has like 7 million followers right now. He started on Road Rules,
Yep.
but I'd have more than him and Kim Kardashian
Oh, heck,
combined.
you
But
would.
I was before my time.
You were. You
Almost in
really were.
everything.
You really were. I mean, yeah, reality, the real world walked so Big Brother could run, basically. I mean, you guys
Yeah.
started that movement. And when I think about, you're right. What kind of an influencer would Brennan be, right? How potentially compromised could you be with that
Yeah.
amount of obscene popularity? I mean, I think he probably would have been having some hats. He'd have like a Stetson,
Oh, yeah.
a
I've got a
contract,
Stetson. Oh,
but
the contract. Now that's different. I've got a Stetson, but I don't have a contract.
just saying, can you imagine how many Stetson hats you could have sold if it went viral of those kinds of things. So you had Dominic on. We got away from that for a minute. He came and talked to you guys, huh? Even when he
did.
would
He
not
he
do
came on to
reunion
our
stuff.
podcast. He didn't come to our
Wow.
reunion that Paramount Plus did. He did not come. Has not done any interviews. He's lived a very private life, and remains the same great dude. But he came on our podcast, and if you search for Getting Real with John and Beth, he is our 50th guest. He's our 50th episode. So
That's
we
awesome.
had that mile marker of 50 episodes, and we wanted a great guest. And
That's
Dominic
fantastic.
came on. We've also had Puck, who was on the season after us.
I remember Puck
But
Rainey, yeah, and San
Puck,
Francisco, right?
the San Francisco show. So we've
Yeah.
had Puck, and we've had Flora from the Miami show.
I remember
We
her.
just recently had Jason from the Boston show. We've also had Genesis and Montana from the Boston show.
Oh my
Of
gosh,
course, Sean
Montana.
Duffy's a dear friend of mine. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
boy,
these
these
are
are
there.
blasts from the past, man. I'm
Cyrus
seriously,
Cyrus has been on three
Cyrus,
times. Yep.
dude,
So it's and is getting ready to be on
on the new All
Challenge All
Stars,
Stars 5. So that
dude.
that airs January 29th, a week from Wednesday on MTV.
There
All
you
right,
go.
not streaming. It doesn't
Plug that.
drop. It's actually airing on television,
That's
cable
fantastic.
television. Back on. I
Fantastic.
told her the other day. You realize it's 32 years later, and you're going to be back on MTV, like on a
Yeah,
current show.
yeah.
That's weird. And then
That's
my roommate
crazy.
Tammy Roman, who's ultra famous. She's on
Was it
many,
Basketball
many
Wives or
shows.
Real Housewives Atlanta or
Basketball
something back
Wives.
then? Yeah.
It was Basketball Wives for many years, and then more recently, the Miss Pat Show, which is hugely popular. And now
Yep.
she's back on MTV with
That's
going on
crazy.
to her second season of a show. I think it's called Unfaithful, Caught in the Act. It's one of those your spouse
Yeah,
is
yeah,
cheating and
yeah.
she
Cheaters
breaks it
was the
down.
pioneer of that show. I remember those.
Cheaters, yeah,
Yeah,
I think, yeah,
back
yeah,
in the
those the
day.
old cheaters. You're bringing me back. You probably know like Remote Control.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
How about
Kenny.
this?
Kenny wasn't like the other kids. You know.
So Kennedy, who's now on Fox News, you remember
Right, right.
Kennedy
Oh,
from
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
what was Alternative Nation was the name of
Yes.
her MTV show. She's been on our podcast,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
it's a real nostalgic run back for
Well,
sure.
I think I'm at that stage of life where I have the time to revisit history, right? I mean, I'm kind of I'm not slowing
Make
down. I'm
make
kind
the
of
time.
enjoying a renaissance of
The
sorts.
past is
And
better than the future.
well, it is. I mean, there was something very comforting and predictable and
Yeah,
just less cray cray back
yeah,
then.
yeah,
That there's a bit of it's like a little happy place. You just kind of go back to that, and the fact that you guys can live forever on the internet for better or worse means that
yeah,
new generations can discover, what y'all were doing. And honestly, if you look at it, the drama that Real World had from season one, it's the same dramas played over and over, just different
yeah,
people. It's the human condition, right? And it's just a matter of who are the humans we're getting to watch. I do think that there's a
exactly.
certain purity that's been lost over the years, and that everything else seems to be a little more amplified. Uh,
Yeah.
is there any reality TV you watch now that you would even compare and say, yeah, this is very, very different? You feel it's more scripted, or you feel it's more cast, more stereotyped. Do you get a
Yep.
sense of that?
I do. I don't feel like the authenticity or integrity of what we did back in 1992 and 1993 or 4, 1995 even, that authenticity is gone. I mean, because it got so popular
Yeah.
that the networks realized. I mean, honestly, when I was describing to friends, I'm going to be on the show that's not scripted. I'm not an actor. I'm going to go be myself, and then it's kind of a lab rat experiment. They had not even made up the word reality TV,
Right.
and they said, "Well, I literally had somebody said, dude, you really better take advantage of this." 15 minutes of fame you're about to have because this is not going to last. This genre is going to disappear. And here we are 33 years later since the first Real World, the one right before ours, and it's
Yep.
the largest genre of entertainment that there is. I mean,
Yes.
because they're lumping The Voice in there, Big Brother, American Idol, Deal or No Deal Island, all these shows, Housewives, Kardashians, Survivor, all this stuff is a reality show. And so nobody thought it was going to do what it's done. But the big networks, bought in and they saw viewers and they saw money and now there's so much money invested that they can't take the risk. See, when we were producing The Real World, it was very low budget. It'd be embarrassing to tell you how little they paid us, and
Are
of
you
course,
still under contract that you can't even divulge that? I won't ask you to divulge. I'm curious, what's
I'm
the
not really.
statute
And
of
I don't mind to tell you.
limitations?
I can't tell you what we made recently on the Homecoming, but I can tell you that in 1993 they paid us about $200 a week, and that was
Wow.
because it was the law. They had to. It was the union or SAG or I don't know whatever it was, but we made about less than $5,000, and we lived there 22 weeks and made 22 episodes that they played for the better
Ever.
part of the 90s. Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, for not 10 years, but probably 9
Yep.
And, on Saturdays, they'd have a marathon where they'd literally play all 22 episodes back to back to
I
back. You turned
remember
on
those
MTV on a Saturday in the
fondly.
90s, there was a 94% chance that I was on there. And
Yep.
it's just crazy. And so I drive Uber to help with my bills here in Nashville because I'm still pursuing music, and you don't make a lot of money in music until you hit really big, and that hasn't happened yet for me. So people get in my Uber and they say, "Do you know who you are?" Oh my gosh, they freak out because I'm like one of the biggest celebrities of their childhood. And then sometimes just in conversation, it'll come up with, a random stranger that I'm a singer, and okay, you drive Uber, you're a singer, and tell me, long trips. What else about yourself? And oh, fun fact, I'm the eighth reality television star of all time. And they say, oh, tell me more about that. And so, you tell them you were on The Real World, and they've never heard of it. So, are you there? You froze up. What happened? Oh, you froze. I don't know if I'm frozen. What's up, y'all? Anybody that's watching live? Angie will be back with us. Uh-oh. She's gone away completely. I'm now the host. I'm the host of the podcast. She'll be right back. She'll be right back. But if you're watching live, thanks for sticking with us. I think it's bitter cold where she is, and the internet is causing fits. And don't look at my messy room. Messier than I thought. Oh, you're back.
God
You're
bless
back.
you. God
I
bless
was
you.
just
Yeah.
talking to the folks watching live.
I appreciate you for that. Yeah, we
I
we
don't know
have
if they're already.
a polar vortex in St. Louis, and not only is it difficult for humans to move about, apparently it's also
Yeah.
difficult for data to move about. So thank you for your patience.
So I
Um,
saw that it snowed on Destin Beach today in Florida in the
yes,
Panhandle,
isn't
in the
that
Gulf of
nuts?
America. There, yeah. There's an inch of snow on top of the sand on the beach. That's
It's
amazing.
crazy. My friends in New Orleans, they're like, they don't know what to do. They go, we don't have
No,
salt trucks. We're like, I don't know
right.
what's going to happen.
You
Yeah,
stay
it's kind of
inside. You
crazy.
stay inside and just for 3 or 4
Use it. You
days.
know what? It's nature's way of saying slow down. Slow down, take some stock. Do some self care. Just stop running
Yeah,
around and being in the
that's
rat
right.
race. So I lost you when my internet glitched, but you were talking about being an Uber driver and having folks
Yeah, I mean,
recognize you and
people they
how
get
weird that must be.
it's either that they do right away, or they never heard of the show and never heard of me,
Interesting.
and there's no talking them into the project I was part of. So they just they've never heard of it. They don't care. There's very little in between. It's either, oh my goodness, I know exactly who you are, or no, never even heard of your show. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird that there's not like any in between.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was talking with some friends recently about having you on and how excited I was because I said, I just feel like I'm going to relive like a part of my life, but I don't want to spend all the time back there. I want to talk about life now and
Yeah.
what we're doing in this beautiful second half of our century, if we're lucky enough to live that long. But some of my friends, their parents wouldn't let them watch because it was, oh, that's MTV and there's some scandalous stuff on there. And I'm like, oh, good grief. It didn't get
It's
terribly scandalous until the Las Vegas season. And I think they
well, the
just
real
tried to,
world. Yeah.
yeah, try to up the ante every season. Let's get more
They
extreme
did.
because viewership, they were courting
Well,
viewers.
yeah, and what happened was the people that started getting cast started to realize that, okay, I'm on a very popular show. I'm on
Right.
MTV, which was cooler than TikTok at the time, and I'm going to
Absolutely.
be extremely recognizable and famous for a little while. So they
Yeah.
started acting like little hams, and they
Yeah.
weren't genuine. They weren't authentic. They
Yeah.
were they were just doing things for the camera because they were just being little show offs. And
Yeah.
so we didn't have that because there was no Real World. I mean, there was one season of the Real World, and it was very experimental, and I hadn't seen it because I'm a country music singer who's 18 years old in the Bible Belt in Kentucky, and
Did they
frankly
have
didn't.
CMT? Help me out. Was CMT around then or did
Not
it come after?
the popularity of it came a little bit after,
Okay.
not long after, but kind of mid 90s. And then, it's so funny, MTV and Paramount and Viacom bought CMT. So CMT is under the umbrella of, MTV and
Gotcha.
Paramount. And so I made a music video last year, and I'm tried to get CMT to play it, and they're like, "Oh no, I don't." Well, I mean, you don't understand. Like, I'm family. I've been on MTV for 32 years. I'm your right arm, and they're like, "No, we don't take take submissions. I'm like,
Oh, for crying out loud.
are you kidding me? I'm literally part of you. I'm literally your family. And
No, so
so,
let me ask
it's
you,
just so weird. Everything has changed.
why do you think? Okay, so the 90s, early 90s, that was the heyday of country music reaching mainstream, right? That was the Garth
Sure.
Brooks era. Brooks and I mean, these were
Yeah.
mega stars. And Garth Brooks, I still think, is the best selling recording artist of all time or something, or he's in the top two or three last time I checked.
Yeah. Yeah, he's up there, and
It
and
was it was a
your
big deal.
Taylor
So
Swifts and Morgan Wallens
yeah,
have but yeah, Garth was up there with the Beatles and Elvis. I mean,
he
Garth
was. I
was
remember that. His catalog, his sales, and
yeah.
at that time, you had some great moments on television, right? I mean, not just in cowboy boots shooting hoops, which I also thought was cool because I played basketball and I was like, I totally shoot hoops with John. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he went with Irene and her then fiance or by then
Yep.
husband, I can't recall, and
Yep.
she found like a honky tonk, a place for you to
Absolutely.
perform,
The
and you
Western
did great.
Connection.
The Western Connection.
Yep.
You sounded good. You looked the
Thank you.
part. Why do you think that didn't launch you in the way that it could have
Well,
or
it
would have
almost
maybe
did.
today? What
Yeah,
happened?
I came back to Nashville. I mean, I need to write a book because I came back to Nashville.
Did write a book.
Capitol Records signed me, and they
Okay.
thought you're phenomenal. Blah blah blah. And yeah, we think you're great, and we just don't know how we're going to make you an MTV star into a country star. And I said, no, no. I mean, you don't understand. I'm a country music singer. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're this MTV guy. I'm like, yeah. I mean, just use that to our benefit. People know who I am. I'm a little bit famous for about 3, 4, 5 years, and it'd be great. Just use that. They didn't get it. They did not get it. They didn't know how to make the leap. And nowadays, oh, you were on American Idol. Oh, you were on
Yeah.
this reality show. Come over here. Record deal for any reality show. Because
Yeah.
they want to captivate on that fame
Yeah.
that
That cross
reality show.
pollination is seen as an asset now,
Cross
right?
pollination is not a phrase I was thinking about using, but yeah, exactly.
That
Cross
you can have
pollination.
that,
I
but
like it.
yeah,
Write that down. That's a big
but
word. But they didn't get it. They didn't get it. I mean, the word reality TV hadn't even been made up, and now it's the dominant word. And
yeah,
I was before my time.
you really
I
were.
was
I
just
mean,
before my time.
yeah, I would say
So
absolutely. And well,
Capitol
yeah.
Records, they signed Trace Adkins, and they dropped me off the label. And I can
Oh,
still
for
not listen to Honky
crying out
Tonk
loud.
Badonky Donk without
Oh,
crying
that
to this day.
good grief, honky donk, honky donk. That is sorry, Trace Atkins. Like you're ever going to listen to this? Like never. But really, like wow, you're really trolling the depths of lyrical genius there. Badonk donk.
Cha-ching! It made a lot of money.
It sure. Well, yeah. It sure
But
did.
yeah, I mean, I've had that conversation with myself a million times. Did the real world help me or hurt me? I mean, I don't know. You
Well,
would think it would have helped me, but
I
it was
can't
a little
imagine. I
early.
can't imagine anybody going back to 1993, seeing you. I think you were at Belmont, weren't you at
I
Belmont
was at
University or
Belmont.
something,
Yes, I
right? Okay.
was.
My kiddo was looking at Belmont because she's interested in the
Well,
music
I hope you're
business.
rich.
No,
Yeah,
we're not, which is why I've steered her somewhere else.
tell
But
her to
I
check
have
out
friends.
MTSU if she's
Yeah,
into music
right.
business. She'll go to MTSU.
MTSU, right. I have a friend who goes to Belleville, lives in Nashville. She was on the floor with me actually. But anywho, I remember thinking, who would have said to you, turn this down? You don't need the exposure. I mean, nobody.
Yeah,
Everybody would have said this is an opportunity to get your music out there, to
yeah,
get your face out there. So nobody could even, I think, rewind and say that that would have been the right move. It's just ironic that the move that was supposed to give you exposure gave you the exposure that ultimately undermined your ability to seem authentic. And I think
yeah,
that's the biggest crime of it. At the same time, it seems like you've you've ridden that wave in a healthy way, right? You didn't turn. It could be your faith. It could just be you, but you didn't turn to alcohol to escape. You didn't turn to drugs to escape. You didn't turn into anything that wasn't your authentic self to kind of get rid of that, that stain, if that's how it felt to you when you were kind of untouchable. Why do you think that is?
yeah,
Why do you think you were able to just kind of stay the course and just hope that
yeah. I mean,
it'll be different?
honestly, I was myself. So I mean, I wasn't playing a role. Oh, I better be on my best behavior while I'm on the show. I mean, I really was just this really green kid. I mean, I was 18 years old. All my roommates were 3, 4, 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
Some of my roommates were 7,
Yeah, like Dominic was
and so
the oldest, yeah, I think.
he was 24 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 24 or 5 years old. Irene was 24. I'm 18 years old. I was a
Yeah.
young 18. I mean,
Yeah.
I had just turned 18. I wasn't even close to 19 yet, and yeah, I was just a kid. But I was a good kid. I don't think I was naive and as unexposed as they thought, because I'm from Kentucky, but I wasn't born in Kentucky. I was born in Wisconsin. I lived in Phoenix, lived in Baltimore. I've
Get
actually lived
out.
in 11. I've lived in 8 states, and I've visited 13 different countries. So,
So
to be honest,
you're a closeted cosmopolitan. That's what I'm
well,
hearing. They didn't see
I
that. They
just
painted you as provincial country boy who never left the sticks, but that's
yeah,
not true, huh?
it's not true, but it's fine. I embraced it. I knew what I was there for. I was there to wear my cowboy hat because Garth Brooks had taken over the music scene. They
Right.
they they wanted a country music singer. I did not apply. As a matter of fact, they approached me and asked me would I do it, and I said no. That only made them want me more,
Oh, yeah.
because
Untouchable.
well
It's
they
more
didn't they
attractive,
didn't
right?
want people that wanted to be on TV. They didn't want people that were going to go and act the way that they act now. They
Right.
wanted authenticity. They don't really want that anymore.
They
They
wanted
want raw and
the real deal.
yeah. Yeah, it changed a lot after the first 4 or 5 episodes, but
Sure.
so I mean, it wasn't a struggle for me to remain that way because I was that way. I
Yeah.
mean, I was just I'd still to this day I don't drink alcohol because I don't like it.
Yeah.
I also think it's a foolish decision and it's really bad for you, and people that drink it look funny and act funny and smell funny. So it's not a vice for me. But so
Is that
but
maybe, I was going to say, is that why maybe you didn't do more challenges? Because I do know you went that path. I think you did a couple, right? I don't know if the last one was
3
Inferno or something, but
Inferno 2.
I mean, basically without alcohol, nobody would watch that show, which is sad to say,
And
but it's,
and that's sad to say.
yeah,
So what kind of substance is your show really, if it
right,
relies on drunk cast members
right,
that are sleeping together,
right.
cheating on their spouses while they're there,
Yo,
acting like total buffoons, using horrible language, horrible role models for any young person or old person watching.
yeah,
And so, yeah, I mean, it just has no appeal to go on a television show and act like a complete idiot. And that's what the challenge has turned into. And I'll just go on record as telling. I always allude to this on my podcast. Of course, my co-host is still on the show,
well,
so I tread
it seems
a
like
little
she,
bit lightly.
it's working out for her, it
It
has, it
seems to
seems,
be looking out for her. Yeah,
yeah,
it seems to be working out. But it's fine. I mean, I went a long time without wanting to be that guy from the real world. Years, maybe 15, 20 years, especially after my music didn't work out, and I kind of blamed, the real world for being that. But not possibly being wrong in that evaluation. I don't know that I can blame the real world for the lack of music success. The music business is just really, really tough and political and very, very difficult, and it's a lottery. So who
yeah,
knows? But so I got over it, and then people started asking me to do podcasts, and nice people like you, oh my gosh, I loved watching you, and I support you, and I feel like I've known you. That feels good. I mean, I'm just going to be really honest with you. Reality stars are like the rest of us. We like attention, and I'm a country music singer.
yeah,
I'm a lead singer. Okay, I love attention. Why did I say yes to being on your podcast so quickly? I love attention. I love everyone that's watching live. I like everybody that's streaming this, listening to it later. I like people knowing about John Brennan. It feels good. And any reality star that tells you they don't like attention is a bull-faced liar. I'll tell it to their face. I'll say it on your podcast. We all like attention. We all
yeah,
do. And we need it. We need an
yeah,
attaboy, but you know, if you have any desire to be in the entertainment business, I love to be on camera. I love microphones. I'm sitting in my bedroom on a microphone right now because I like it.
yeah.
So it feels good. It feels good. And I did. I started to embrace it again. I have a podcast because I want to. I mean, I'm not getting paid to do a podcast. It
Yeah,
doesn't
no, it
pay
is
unless you
absolutely a
get big,
labor.
big, big, big numbers.
It's a
It is.
labor of
It's a
love.
lot of work. And they say that most podcasts, like something ridiculous, like only 3% of all podcasts, which there are millions, make it past something like 5 episodes.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's a lot of it's hard to book a guest. It's hard to nail down a time. It's hard to, figure out which software you're going to use. It's the equipment's not cheap. I mean, it's just it's not easy to do a podcast, but it's fun.
It
But you
is.
have to have Joe Rogan type numbers before it starts to make any dollars for you,
Oh,
and
for
you have
sure.
to do it because it's just fun.
Yeah, because you want to, because you're interested in doing the work to keep it going. I think that that's probably the only
Yeah,
way to continue it. I got it. I'm curious. I want to talk a little bit, if you have more time. I want to talk about
I do.
your
Especially
ministry.
since I was late, I have more time.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about your ministry with the youth. I want to talk about
Yeah.
your music. I want to talk. I mean, one of Garth Brooks's famous songs, one of my favorite, is "Unanswered Prayers." Right?
Yeah.
It's just the kind of
Wow.
song you turn to when you're thinking, "Gosh, that didn't work out the way I'd hoped it would," and then you're looking back and you're going, "Huh, yeah, it didn't work out, but it ended up working out the way it should." Right? And I think
Yeah.
when you think about your trajectory in the last
Yeah.
32 years and what you had hoped your career would be,
Yeah.
and maybe deep down in there there's a grander plan. Is that
Mhm.
something you hang on to? Are you working toward a different way of using your music? Are you
Yes.
channeling that into ministry more than popular approval, or like you're saying,
Mm.
wanting to be on camera, wanting to have that
Yeah.
exposure? How's that working out?
Such a great thing to bring up because of the season I'm in. Not only this year, but this week, this day. I have a brand new song that we just shot a music video to. As a matter of fact, my manager just texted me and said he loved the artwork that's going to go to Spotify.
Awesome.
So I mean, it's called "Tell Me That There Ain't a God," and it's going to go to mainstream country. It's going to Christian country. It's a showstopper. It's a song that if anybody takes the time to listen to, they're going to go, "Wow, man, that's a stop you in your tracks song." I did not write it. A big time songwriter wrote it. By the name of Greg Barnhill, and he wrote Big
Oh,
Big
really?
Stars. Yeah,
I know
for
him.
yeah,
I,
you know
I
Greg
know the
Barnhill.
name. Yeah, I
Well,
do.
he
And
wrote. Here,
I,
listen to some of his stats. He wrote "Walk Away Joe," Trisha Yearwood and
yeah.
Don
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Henley,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
huge '90s hit. He wrote a song that Amy Grant and Vince Gill did called "House of Love." Okay,
Uh-huh.
many big number one and big country hits that you would be familiar with. But
Yep.
so he co-wrote the song with two others, and one of them has already since gone to heaven. Tim McGraw got this song and held it. In the music business, you put a song on hold, which means no one else can record it. The publisher and the songwriters have stopped playing it for other people because a big star like Tim McGraw has said, "I'm probably going to record this song.
Wow.
Let no one else record it." So they put it on hold, and he had it on hold for several albums. I've been told it was maybe even up to 11 years he had it on hold,
Wow.
and his record label decided that it's great and it's phenomenal and he would kill it, but we had "Live Like You Were Dying" with Tim. We had a
Uh-huh.
couple
Uh-huh.
similar songs, and
Uh-huh.
we're probably not going to record it. So you'd be doing the record, or you'd be doing the songwriters a favor to take it
Let
off
it go.
hold and let somebody else go, because we're probably not going to record it, although we love it. I got it, and
That- That's
it's a
amazing.
killer song. It's going to come out in just a matter of days or weeks, and I don't know the exact date, but we're really setting it up big. It'll be all over my socials. If you're not following me, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, blue check mark, at johnbrennan.com or
Brilliant.
underscore com on Instagram, because they don't let
Brilliant.
you do .com, but
And on
TikTok, all
yeah,
that stuff.
on our on the Hopecast. So I'm part of the Hopecast network. There's 8 different shows in the network, and they just brought me on this year. And
Oh, cool.
so I will be linking to all of those socials and
Fantastic.
sites. And
Yeah.
when the song's live and
Yeah.
Available, you got to let me know. We'll put a link
Yeah.
up for that too.
I'd be so appreciative. I have like 100 or some days 90 something Spotify listeners. Okay. So I need 1 million, and no pressure. I have 11,000 Instagram followers and 2,000 TikTok followers. I need 1 million. So to all of your legions of fans, if this was 1993, I'd have all the MTV viewers, but right now
You would, but you
I'm
know what? There
just,
are people like us who remember fondly and
yeah.
would be more than happy to reach back and support. And
Well,
I
I appreciate it.
assume, I don't know. I mean, I've heard about the song. You talked to me about the song. I think the message is a great idea, and I
I'm going to
think
text you the video because it's done,
please,
but you won't post it until it's time.
no, I won't.
But it'll be, I don't know how long, a couple days or just a few weeks, hopefully. But it's a showstopper. I mean,
Well,
it's one
the
of those.
message, like you're saying, the message is it's very prescient. It's what a lot of folks need when they're
Yeah,
in hard times and their
yeah,
doubt, and every faithful person has doubts. Like you said, if a reality star says they don't like,
yeah,
exposure, they're lying. I think if a faithful person says they never doubt, they're also lying. And so it's a good song to
yeah.
find your footing.
It's
I think
right.
it's great.
It's so right.
I think it's great. So
Well, I've
you
had
heard,
this conversation with a million people. I mean, it's a song about two people in an airplane, and one of them looks to the other that's reading his Bible, says, "Hey, man, there's no God," and the other guy goes, "Oh man, He's everywhere. Look everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's God."
yeah,
And he says, "Look, I don't believe in miracles. My sister died." And he said, "Look, there's a miracle sitting right next to you in seat 3A." That's one of the big lines of the. So it's just one of those songs that goes, "Oh my gosh, okay." But I won't spoil the end for you. But it's just a great. But if I could get a little bit spiritually theological with you, what happened was after I lost my record deal, I started a church in my hometown of Owensboro, Kentucky, and I became the
you
song
started
leader.
a church.
Well, me and my friend who was the pastor, and
I
so
didn't
I,
know
I
that.
was
Okay,
I was the song leader. They call that
worship
worship
leader.
leader, a
Yep.
worship pastor, the minister of music, whatever you want to call it. I was the
Yeah.
guitar guy, and I led the songs, and because I like to sing and I love the Lord, well, I immediately became the youth pastor also. For the next 22 years in Kentucky, Alabama, Florida, and East Africa, I would be a youth mentor and a youth pastor, and I would
Wow.
lead music in these churches. And that's what I did. Instead of country music, instead of continuing to do reality, I went into ministry on staff at churches and mission work in East Africa, which I miss dearly. And then my dad got sick with cancer, and 6 years ago in March, he passed away. And I just remember being in Alabama about 3 years ago, maybe four, and said, "Man, I guess you're done singing country music." And I got really angry with that decision in conversation with myself. And I said, "No, you ain't done singing yet." And I wrote a song called "I Ain't Done Singing Yet." And not long after that, MTV called and said, "We're thinking about putting you guys back in the same exact house for a Paramount Plus reunion." I said, "Yes." They said, "You want to hear more about it?" I said, "No, I knew you'd call one day." They said, "Well, can you help us talk your roommates into doing it?" I said, "Yeah." So we did that, and it wasn't hugely popular like we thought. I thought this is my second chance to really, get the masses to watch, but turns out not a lot of people watching the Real World Homecoming on Paramount Plus, and so that fame didn't really happen again. But I did get the song out, and a follow-up song, a whole EP, and I got songs on Spotify right now, and you can find all those songs. But I had a real conversation with myself, and I've really, ministered to others and plowed through my own theological thinking about, what is God's plan, and was God's plan for me to leave the church and come back and do country music, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I don't work at a church. I'm not in ministry as far as going to a job to do ministry. I'm in ministry in my Uber. I'm in ministry when I'm on podcasts, like right now. I'm preaching a little bit. But people ask me all the time, well, what if I don't know what God wants me to do? And I really think my answer to that question is where I got to with my own self. And that was not all the time does God tell you exactly what to do and where to go. Sometimes He says, look, here's a couple different two, three, four things that would bring me glory. You can continue to work at a church that would bring me glory. You can go back to Nashville and work on country music, and as long as you don't sell your soul to the devil and start cheating and drinking and fall off the wagon, that'll also bring me glory. You record songs like "Tell Me That There Ain't a God,"
Yeah.
my song that I wrote called "True Story." Yeah, I did. I wrote a song called "True Story" because that was my
Love it.
line in the Real World opening.
Love
But
it.
the song's actually about my mom and dad, which is it was a number one hit on the Christian country charts.
That's
And
fantastic.
I think that you can bring God glory that way. So I think that if you're listening to this and you wonder, for what it's worth, I wonder if I'm really being obedient to what God wants me to do. I'm at a crossroads and I have these big decisions and I don't know what to do. You know, Sometimes He tells you exactly where to go and what to do, and you need to do that or you're disobedient. But sometimes, and I think more often than not, He lays out three, four, five different options and said, look, all of these will bring me glory. you can choose and go do any of them. I don't care what you choose to do. Just go and live a life that's obedient to me and brings glory to me, and I will give you the desires of your heart. And so, you cross that with things that you get told as you're growing up. You can be anything you want to be. Follow your dreams. Well, I'm really
Yeah.
testing that bull crap right now. Just telling you right now. I'm 50 years old trying to be a country music star. And so I'm following my dreams and I'm trying to be anything that you want to be. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure all that stuff's true. I'm not getting the chances that I thought I would get. And I'm just plowing through it because I don't want to have any regrets. So, you know, I'm here, trying to be the light of Christ when I can. When there's a microphone in front of me, I'll
Yeah.
sing country music. I might also take a time out and preach a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
But I'm just recording songs that are that way.
I think the no regrets is important. I think people say that a lot,
Yeah.
go big, go home, no regrets. It becomes like a bumper
Yeah.
sticker philosophy. But I
Right.
think from a Christian perspective, at least one I share with you on that level, is every single thing that happens is by design.
Yeah.
And I think if you can embrace that, you wouldn't regret anything because everything's a condition of possibility for the
Yeah.
next step, for the next lesson to be learned, for the next growth to be achieved. So whether it's tragedy, trauma, poor decisions, foolish options, bad relationships, toxicity, whatever, you're going through it to come through it, being a better
Woo!
person,
Come on.
right?
You're going through it to come through it.
But I believe that.
That's a fantastic thing to say.
I think it's important, and I think that goes beyond. I mean, it's Christian for me, but I think it's anybody can hold on to that because that
Yes.
level of hope is important. So I think your ability to say
That's good.
things didn't happen the way I wanted them to happen, but I'm not in control of everything, and if I can abandon myself of that sense of needing to control everything, then anything can be possible and rewarding, right? And I
Ooh,
think
Angie, you're
we're
pretty
doing that.
awesome.
So.
You're pretty awesome. You're saying some great things.
Well, that's just it's from the heart because it's how I
Yeah,
live my
that's
life
so great.
and how I think about the world
Yeah.
and how I assumed you did too, which is why I was like, I'm going to reach out to John. He doesn't know me from Adam. I'm just going to reach out on Instagram. Heck, he may never see the message, but if he does, I think we could have a really good conversation and lift each other up somehow. And that's why honestly I was thrilled to have you solo. I'm also thrilled to have you back with Beth, without Beth. If there's other people that as your music career continues and you start to embrace these opportunities ahead of you, if you ever want to talk about it, I'd love to chat, podcast or not, hit me up on the phone. It doesn't matter. I just think you're a
Thank you.
like-minded good human, and it's
Wow.
it's cool to get a chance
Thank you.
to connect. I think it's really, really a kick. It's really fun for me. So I appreciate your time a
Well, I
lot.
appreciate you. That is tremendous perspective and very complimentary words. Thank you. But I'm just sticking on that. God, when you're going through something, God didn't bring you to that to leave you in the muck and let you fail. He brought you
Yep.
to it to get
So you
you
can go
through
through
it.
it.
Man, that's so good.
Yeah.
Because I think so often, Christ followers or not Christ followers, we get into the muck of life and we're like, man, I'm bogged down and I don't know what to do. I'm stressed out. I can't figure out what the solution to my issue is here. And it's not for you to fail and be bogged down. It's to come through the storm. And
Yep.
that's for believers and non-believers alike.
Yep.
And that's
100%.
great. It's a great word.
Well, and I was going to say, I'm a big fan of contemporary Christian music in general, and
Absolutely.
your voice, the way you sing, it reminds me a lot of Zach Williams to a degree, and
Well,
that
he's one of
song,
my favorite singers on the planet. So thank
isn't
you
he
so
great?
much. Holy
Yeah,
cow, he's great. His
his
songs are
song,
great.
"There Was Jesus" that he duetted with
With
Dolly
Dolly
Parton.
Parton, come on, is that not the best
That is
song
like my
ever?
anthem, man. I mean, that's it. It's like through the waiting, through the struggle,
Yeah.
everything. Like there was Jesus, like he was there. Like it
And it's
just
not
trust
so
that he's
preachy.
there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're listening to this right now, and you maybe didn't grow up in the church, or you don't have a lot of faith, or you never thought about God, that's just all fine. Go Google the song by Zach Williams. What's the title of it?
There was Jesus.
There Was Jesus. I mean, I've sang that song. I can't believe I just went blank on the title, but
It
it's
happens.
Dolly Parton and Zach Williams,
It's
and
gorgeous, man. It's a
oh,
gorgeous song.
I
She's amazing. She's duetted
she
with For
is.
King and Country too. Have you
King of Country.
seen
They're
some of
so
that
good.
collaboration? They're
No, but they're
amazing.
so good. They're so good.
Yeah. So I mean that I love that again, that pulling that message together with it's just really good music, man. Just good vocals, good songwriting, good messages, good heartfelt, just triumphant music that just
Mhm.
really like wakes you up and gives you hope. I think that's something we all need all the time. And I appreciate you for following that impulse and creating that kind of music. So I can't wait for the video for you to send it to me. I'll get it up on
I can't.
a
I'm going
link
to
when I
send it to
can.
you right now, and
Good. I love
everyone
it.
else is going to have to wait a few weeks. But I'm going to give you the preview,
I would
and
love
you're
it.
going to be
I'd be
blown
honored
away
and
because
appreciative
it's.
so much. I'm gonna value your time and invite you back sometime if you ever want to chat
I would
about
love to
stuff.
come back,
I
and
think it was
I'm
fun.
going to invite you right now to be on Getting Real with John and Beth.
That would be a
And
hoot.
I don't
I'd
know
love it.
exactly when. We're very sporadic with when we record that, but we have 72 episodes streaming right now. I'm on Spotify. I have a YouTube channel with 2 music videos that are on there right now. I have all the stuff. I have the TikTok. I have the the crack book and the twit face, all the stuff. And go follow me on all the hoops we got to
Go
do.
follow me on the crack book. That's
Yeah,
great.
the
Yeah,
crack
good.
book, the
Good
twit
stuff.
face, all of it. Just I'm there. I'm there. Follow me. Like my stuff. But yeah, I'm the same dude. I mean, I'm the same dude that I was when I got cast on the Real World, and I'm sarcastic. I'm I say things I wish I hadn't said out loud. It's watching yourself on reality TV or even listening to a song that you've recorded. It's like looking at pictures of yourself. No
It
one
is.
likes that. I don't like looking at myself on this monitor right now, but it's like, hey, well, your cheeks are fat and your double chin is definitely
It doesn't
there.
get more real than people who don't do plastic surgery. Am I
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
right.
it's all natural right
Yeah,
here.
that's right. But it's just so I don't I just you just got to be yourself and go, yeah, yeah, I was that
Amen.
skinny little
Amen.
kid on MTV. It's so crazy. Mom had it blocked from the house, and there I ended up on it for 12
Yes,
years. It
that's
was
the
weird.
best. That's the best line right there. Mom
My
wouldn't let me
mom
watch
was on
it. No,
MTV.
I'm
My
on it.
mom was on there
Yes, she
too. It's
was.
just
Yes,
so
she was.
funny.
So I got one last question to sign off on. Are you still addicted to Kool-Aid?
No, I'm not. I'm addicted to sugar. I drink a lot of Dr. Pepper and Coca-Cola.
Okay.
I do love tropical punch Kool-Aid. When I was doing a lot of concerts, people, especially in the '90s, right after the Real World, people would bring Kool-Aid to my shows and they'd give it to me, and they knew it was red,
Yeah,
but they
yeah.
they couldn't differentiate between the cherry or the tropical punch, and my favorite was tropical punch, but I do like the cherry also. But really, I'm addicted to soft drinks, which is really horrible. But they both have way too much sugar. I mean, Kool-Aid's
Yeah,
so
they do. I mean, I guess it's hard to be completely vice free.
yeah.
Of all the evils, I suppose Coca-Cola is the lesser. But you
So
know.
you want to just a little side note? Everybody
Yep.
asked me about Kool-Aid. I actually had my manager at the time, shortly after the Real World, tried to get me a sponsorship by Kool-Aid, and they said, "Well, I mean,
I wondered.
he's talking about Kool-Aid without us paying him and without us supporting him. Why would we pay him and sponsor
Yeah.
him?" And so, it's no real big reason except that you can. And so they didn't. But
Oh,
the reason that I was loving Kool-Aid so much in the Real World house was, again, I was 18 years old. I graduated high school in May. I
right.
lived on MTV in January. So, 6, 7 months. I had learned to love Kool-Aid in home economics class in high school.
Get out.
Just a few months before that, when we would cook whatever we had to cook for home
Yeah.
ec,
Yeah.
we'd made a jug of Kool-Aid. And it was my senior year in high school where I learned to love because my mom wouldn't let us have all that sugary drinks. And
There
so
you go.
I was fresh out of high school. I was fresh out of high school, still loving Kool-Aid, living on MTV. My life is crazy.
That you know what? That sums it up right there. There it is. Kool-Aid and country music, living your best life. I love it. I love it. John, thanks so
True
much.
story. Yeah,
True
thank you.
story.
I'm so sorry I was late, but anyone who's listening, I'm gonna have Angie on our podcast as a
I'd
guest, and
love that. I
you're
talked to
so easy to talk to.
I appreciate you. I agree. We are having a great conversation that could continue. And the floor, the show I was on last year, there were folks on there that would like to be on reality series. You know, part of their participation was that level of exposure. And like you're saying, I believe that is the predominant unscripted format out
Yeah.
there in on.
She's gone again. She froze. It's kind of an awkward ending to a great podcast. She'll be back on. I don't know if anybody's watching this. I can't see like a number of how many people might be watching live, but awkward. I need to clean my room. Oh, I have a website, johnbrennan.com. Shameless plug. Don't look at my dirty laundry. I have dirty laundry both places. Stop looking at my dirty room. Stop.
Please help. Are you still there?
I'm here, but
Oh.
you know when you go away, my
Yeah.
screen gets wider, so I'm like, oh, there's dirty laundry. Don't
Oh,
look at my
shoot.
dirty laundry.
Well, we won't tempt fate again. I think the weather is telling me to shut
Stay
this
warm.
down. Yeah,
Drip
I'll tell you
your
what.
faucets. Drip your faucets.
I do. I drip it every night, and I open the cabinets so that the warm air from the home gets to the pipes inside. So yeah, I'm a Midwest gal. I know all the tricks, and hopefully, you know, it'll help. It was a pleasure, John. I hope you have an awesome week. I hope we talked a little bit about your mom on the phone. I hope she's doing much better and everything's good
Yeah.
there. And I'm looking forward to the video. I'm gonna just stalk my phone until it shows up. I can't wait
gonna
to
send
to
it.
watch. All right,
Thank
you
you.
take care of yourself. God bless. Thanks so much for being on. Take it easy.